So I wanted to talk about our clean air standards for a minute. The federal EPA sets air regulation limits on certain pollutants, like ozone, particulate matter, and then California does the same. So, like Mike was saying, we live in California. You would expect our limits to be lower than the federal standards. Indeed, they are. Just to give you an example, one of the pollutants I've been dealing with is particulate matter 10, which is 10 micron dust, farm dust, you might have heard that. And California's limit is 1/3 of the federal limit. The federal limit is 150 micrograms per cubic meter. California is 50 micrograms per cubic meter. So if you're in Nevada, it doesn't hurt your health to go up to 149. But if you move across the border, you're getting asthma and you're dying if you're breathing 149 micrograms. Maybe I should switch mics with somebody if it's okay.
No, it's terrible.
Try one that doesn't sound so good. How's this one? Is this better?
Yeah.
Okay, you got a low battery. So one of the issues I've been into locally is the Oceano Dunes issue. And you've probably heard about the dust problem down at Oceano Dunes. The Air District, in conjunction with our local newspaper, has been advertising that, trying to let you know that you're going to die if you go down to recreate at the dunes, something that people have been doing for 100 years. Now, never mind that 110,000 cubic yards of sand blows on shore between Point Arguello and Point Sal every year, according to the USGS. That's about, must be in the Bermuda Triangle here for the sound. That's about 1,000 pounds of sand a minute blows on shore naturally, but it's the vehicles that are at fault down there. So one of the things that precipitated this, I wanted to tell you the story about a man named Hien Tran at the California Air Resources Board. Hien Tran was a statistician, a PhD, and he produced a report a number of years ago called Mortality in PM 2.5, which is a smaller particulate that's associated with diesel trucks. And that report became the basis of what CARB's scientific subcommittee used to lower the air standards in California and regulate us all, regulate the trucks, which now have to have diesel particulate filters in the exhaust system, which is about a $20,000 to $25,000 install. Well, it turns out that a group did some research, and a gentleman by the name of Dr. James Instrom at UCLA, he's got a 35-year career in cancer and epidemiology, and he's been watching some of these studies. And he did some research into Mr. Hien Tran and discovered that Hien Tran didn't possess a degree in statistics from UC Davis. In fact, he purchased his degree from Thornhill University on the East Coast, which was a diploma mill operated, believe it or not, by a gentleman in Israel who was on the lam as a child molester from the U.S. So you would think that Mr. Hien Tran would lose his job for that. But instead, Dr. James Instrom lost his job at UCLA because he stirred the pot too much. And the head of CARB, Ms. Mary Nichols, who was originally appointed when Jerry Brown was a governor the first time, very tight with Jerry Brown, and she also happens to sit on the board at UCLA. And she had some say in Dr. James Instrom lost his job. Hien Tran still works for CARB. Dr. Instrom also found out that the scientific subcommittee at the state level had several persons sitting on it for years and years without being reappointed properly. And that's problematic because those people took Hien Tran's report, turned it into something that they scientifically said was accurate and stood behind, and then the board at CARB made it into a new law. And then it gets passed down to us at the county level. And we have our slow air pollution control district who takes that and then enforces that upon us. Now, the air pollution district is a fine agency. if you like fines. There's a Circle K just up the road here in Atascadero, for instance. And Circle K, I guess they didn't maintain their logbooks quite up to par. You know, they have a little vapor recovery system on the gas stations. And the Air Pollution Control District found some flaws with the way they maintained their records. Now, mind you, they didn't spill any gasoline, and the Air Pollution Control District wrote them a fine notice for $80,000.
Oh.
But then they said, wait a minute, we screwed up. That's not right. We did a recalculation, and it's triple for this and double for that, and it's $220,000.
Oh.
And Circle K said, huh? And then they said, oh wait, we forgot to add it together. It's actually $330,000. So Circle K sent an executive up here to figure out what was going on. And in the end, they negotiated it down to about $8,000. But the point of what happens there is the Air District says, if you fight us, we're going to go after you for the whole $300,000. So don't fight us. We'll negotiate it down and you pay us. Like I said, they're a fine agency. They got to support their salaries there, you know. The head makes $240,000 a year. And so I got involved with the Air District because of the Oceano Dunes. And they produced a very thick study saying vehicles are the likely contributor and a significant cause of major pollutant, dust pollution in South County. Well, likely and significant aren't fact. Those are ambiguous terms. And it turns out the Air District never once did a study and found out how much of the cause vehicles are. They just said, we think it's significant. And we've got all these experts behind us. And I did a little research, and one of the experts disclaims being an expert. Another expert was an author of the study. And it goes on and on. So this is the lawsuit that was filed on Thursday over that study. And who pays for that? You and I, right? And the Air District contorted because the lawyers pointed out something very valid. They called it an indirect source. An indirect source is like a baseball stadium. Because it's popular, a lot of cars drive there, and there's pollution that's an indirect result of the baseball stadium. Well, it turns out the Air Pollution Control District has no authority to permit an indirect source, according to state law. So at the last minute, they changed their language, and now they're calling Oceano Dunes State Vehicular or Recreation Area is a article, machine, equipment, or contrivance. So state park down there, I guess, is a contrivance, not a park. And so this will go on for a while. The Air District gets involved in everything. Any kind of project, even down to just one building, they're going to look. They're going to say, oh, you've got a lot of trucks, a lot of dump trucks and tractors during the construction of this. We want a couple $100,000 to mitigate that. The solar facility that's being built out on Highway 58, they got $260,000 out of that construction project. Our clean solar was polluting so badly they had to pull out $250,000. And what do they use that $250,000 for? Well, it offsets the pollution. You're polluting too much, so we need money from you to offset that. And then they'll turn around, buy somebody a new farm tractor, or maybe put some of those diesel particulate filters on the local school buses, which is one program they do. And it's just a big money shell game. Now, recently UC Riverside did a study, and we've gotten these particulate filters down really good now. And UC Riverside said, well, what about hamburgers? How much do hamburgers pollute? Because it goes right up the chimney, right? And they found out one charbroiled burger emits as much particulate pollution as a modern clean diesel truck driving 147 miles. So,
no more burgers.
You're polluting when you go to In-N-Out. But there's no money in the hand. They can't find the hamburger for $200. They're looking for those fines. They're looking to keep their agency alive. And I would invite all of you to get involved like I have. Not necessarily at the Air District, but just start going to your council meetings, pull those staff reports out, and just glance at them. Because there's some crazy things going on in the different agencies. You'll find errors right down to the city hall level. And if you live in the CSD district, they're particularly notorious for not really knowing what they're doing and obeying all the laws. Try to understand what the Brown Act is. Make sure your agencies are accountable to you. And I encourage that. Please get in touch with me. I'll help you do that. I'd actually like to have a class in this county to teach people about the Brown Act so that you can participate better and hold your agencies accountable. Thank you very much.